I am Abu Mansaray, known as George Mansaray. I am a social worker. I have been the president of the Sierra Leone Association of Social Workers from 2017 up to 2024. So I work with communities, especially rural communities, and I've been writing and publishing with Ruth Stack, the former president of the IFSW. So that has been my role, and I'm also a member of ASNET. And so I also have keen interest in bringing to light Ubuntu. Ubuntu, as a child, when I was growing up with my family, I understood Ubuntu to be family. I understood Ubuntu to be interconnectedness. I understood Ubuntu to step into like another person's shoes when the person is not there. I understood Ubuntu by my parents bringing on board, bringing to the family, like other family members who have lost their parents and taking care of them, their education, their health, their schooling, and making sure they are well placed in society. Ubuntu, as I understand it when I was growing up, it's the whole village coming together, doing rounds, going to work for Francis. Today on Francis' farm, the next day they work on Peter's farm, the other day they work on Joseph's farm. Yeah. I understood Ubuntu to mean that when you are bereaved, every member of the family and every member of the community comes to the house. They even stay there, they bring food. There are people there that console the bereaved, and they counsel the bereaved, and they make sure everything is in place, everything is in order. Ubuntu, growing up being part of a family, I understood it by supporting families, by supporting orphans, by supporting hungry people, by providing food, by providing clothing, by providing shelter, and by providing relief in times of disaster, and also in times when the harvest is not good. They help each other. And also Ubuntu, like understanding Ubuntu growing up also means planting a tree when a child is born. My tree is still bearing fruits. The tree that was planted when I was born some 45 years ago is still bearing fruits. And I also planted trees for each of my children I had. And Ubuntu also means not cutting down trees. Ubuntu also means the trees are part of us. I remember like a divorce was done under a tree, and the divorce was done wrongly. That tree died. And that has been the tradition that when they want to do divorce, they go to a tree and sit under a tree. If it's genuine divorce, that tree will survive. If it's not genuine divorce, that tree will wither. And I've seen that growing up as a child and even as an adult. So growing up, I see Ubuntu to be part of nature. We are not separated from nature. We are nature. Yeah. We are trees. They tell us that the trees move, the trees walk, the trees communicate, the trees speak to us. And so we respected that. No child is allowed to cut down a tree without permission. And there are seasons that trees are felled, but that also depends for which purpose. We see nature as part of us, the medicinal value, the food value, the safety value, the health value. So growing up, I see Ubuntu to be holistic. The environment, the people, the animals, and everything, we are interwoven. And we see chickens being reared, the cattle being reared, and even pets at home, they are cared for. And there are certain animals that are deemed to be forbidden to kill or to eat, just to spare. the life of short animals because they are becoming extinct. And also, there are also some jungles, some forests that are forbidden. It's just to protect that environment, to secure it so that can be cold air, the environment can be cold, peaceful and blissful. Yeah. So this is what I understood growing up as a child about what Ubuntu really means.
Okay.
We have the traditional leadership structure, which is indigenous. And every family has a household head. And the household head also has like a family overseer.
Okay.
And we also have the community elders. Whatever is happening like in a household is a reflection of the community. And whatever is happening in the community is also a reflection of the households. So every child in the community is known by everybody.
Okay.
If it's Francis' son, everybody knows that this is Francis' son or this is Francis' daughter in the community. And everybody has control over Francis' daughter. Everybody has control over Francis' son because every child is seen to be our own.
Okay.
Every child is our own. So everybody has right to bring up the child because if the child comes out to be a very bad child, it's a reflection of the community. If the child grows up to be a very good child, it's also a reflection of the community.
Okay.
So you can see an Ubuntu icon in the family and also in the community. It can be your mother, it can be your brother, it can be your parents, it can be the chiefs, it can be the traditional healer, it can be the town crier, it can be those conserving the environment, it can be those doing other things to uphold the norms that hold the community together. It could be the musicians, the soothsayers, the healers. So it's difficult to say this person stands out as an icon of Ubuntu. It's holistic, it's collective because everybody is born in Ubuntu and grows in Ubuntu and demonstrates Ubuntu. Yes, I've written several book chapters. It's one of our chapters. It's in the Ubuntu Practitioner, published by the IFSW. We have 16 tribes in Sierra Leone, and each and every tribe has its own name for Ubuntu. For the Mende tribe, they say Bondesia. For the Soso tribe, they say Lanyi.
Okay.
For the Timni tribe, they say Botone. Yeah. For the Madingo tribe, they say Kankele.
Okay.
Yeah. For the Creole descendants of slaves, they say one word. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, and all means family, all means interconnectedness, all means love, all means like helpfulness, all portrays the key tenets of Ubuntu. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then also.
So no sooner you move, though we are from different regions of the country and from different tribes, we all portray these tenets of Ubuntu. You leave the east, you go to the south of the country, you see Ubuntu, though in a different name, but it's Ubuntu. That interconnectedness, that culture, that tradition, that relationship with nature. Yeah. So you see it in every region, though different tribes and different way of doing things, but it's all Ubuntu. You can connect.
Okay.
You're not disconnected. Yeah, the north and the east and the south and the west, they're all connected. Basically, technology is amplifying Ubuntu. It's amplifying Ubuntu. You go online, you see traditional African arts, African dance, African music, being done by Westerners, like I was saying. they are amplifying, they are publicizing that this is Africa. We are Europeans, but look at us dancing like Africans. We are drumming like Africans. We are singing like Africans. We are dressing like Africans. We are going all over the world. The Africa, we were told that people sleep on trees, people live in jungles. This is the Africa on social media. This is the Africa. These are the hotels. These are the mansions. These are the beaches. These are the jungles. These are the beautiful landscapes.
Okay.
The fruits, the food, the vegetables, so fresh, so natural. So the impact on social media is positive. So people, people are going online now and just click and look for a small resort in a remote village and just book online and takes a plane, finds himself there, go to the stream to fetch water, the rural people, goes to the farm, just living the life. I've had like series of confrontations in Europe during my study, during my Erasmus Mundus study program across 5 universities in the UK. And mostly we have visiting lecturers coming to talk about Ubuntu. And we have this big struggle, this big argument, that we were colonized. Our dress code, our food, our language, our clothing, our music, everything was colonized. Our education, everything was colonized. Everything about us was colonized. And our forefathers were taken as slaves. And they took along their knowledge, they took along their culture, they took along every bit and piece that belonged to Africa. And these skills and knowledge and experiences were taken away from them. Were taken away from them informally by interviews and by what they do. And these ideas and skills and knowledge were documented and made theirs. And during the time of slavery, they took the artifacts that belong to us, our writing. We had modes of communication. Well, Kenneth Kaunda is right. He's very wise. I think he's got that wisdom, like inherited from his forefathers, which is Ubuntu, the people's participation in the inception and implementation and the monitoring and evaluation of activities, so that the people own it, and that is Ubuntu. Everybody plays their own role according to the norms of the community. The women play their women role, children play their children's role, the adults play their adult role. But that was overshadowed by so-called Western modernity, Western influence, bringing in projects, pre-packed projects being brought into communities and trying to overshadow the things that held the communities together, the participation, the Ubuntu that held the communities together were overshadowed. So they brought in projects, pre-packed. They need water. They need pipe-borne water. They need a community center. They need a health center. They need this, they need that, without even having consultations with the communities. And it could not be the first needs of the community. And so most of these projects became like white elephants. The structures are there, but nobody is using it. From my experience of recent, I'll start from old. Let me start from old. I've been a social worker for over 25 years. I've been working with big international organizations during the war in Sierra Leone and after the war in Sierra Leone. And most of the interventions were emergency. And when the war ended, then life became even more worse for the people of Sierra Leone. And most of the NGOs had to wind up and just leave and go back. So we had to go back to a drawing board from my experiences working in the field. So we went back to start community-based organizations. And from the organization which I co-created with the community, we built over 25 schools, we built over 10 health centers, and we built over 10 bridges, and we provided hand pump well for every community. 366 villages had pump well. And Most of the local building materials were provided by the communities. They provided the land for free. They provided boards, they provided sand, they provided stones, they provided food for work, they provided water, and they provided the skills that are available within the community. So we just imported some technical expertise, maybe one or two, to just guide the process and see what can be done with what the community has. Well, from where I come from, and I think it applies for every other African setting, when you say the environment, it's the people, it's everybody within that community. The people, the homes, the rivers, the seas, the trees, the animals, and everything within that community. And it's symbiosis, it's giving and taking. And we know that every single object, every single thing in our community is of essence, is of value to us. So we protect it, we maintain it, we guard it, and we put bylaws, we have regulations, we have guidelines to make sure it is protected. So Ubuntu protects the environment. Ubuntu promotes environmental sustainability. Yeah, because we see it as part of us. My country context, the community has secret societies. They have secret societies. They have secret societies for male, have secret societies for female. These are institutions governed under Ubuntu principles. So when once you belong to either of these, yeah, then when once you default, you break the law, you break the rules, you either go to the traditional leaders to settle that misunderstanding, that dispute, or you are sent to the shrine, to the male shrine or to the female shrine.
Okay.
Yeah? And each of these shrines have their principles and they have their laws there. Like you said, like replacement or warning or punishment. Yeah? So, but mostly it's warning, reconciliation and warning that stands out in most of the communities. Replacement, I think the community frowns at it because we have an adage that say a cock and its chick doesn't jump fire. Yeah? The cockerel can jump the fire, but the chicks cannot jump the fire. Yeah? So you are living in a society, like in a community, and it's a leaderful community where it's governed by everybody. So if you offend somebody or step on the toes of somebody or destroy somebody's article or item or whatever thing, you don't have to replace it. They have to sit you down and talk to you and mediate, because you may not know your son or your sister will do the same thing to the same person that offended you.
Okay.
So you have to be mindful.
Yes.
So our communities don't promote replacement.
Okay.
So in fact, that bonds the families together, that bonds the communities together.
Okay.
So your brother becomes your keeper. Yeah?
Okay.
So this is what it actually means. There was and there is still the misconception held by Western people and some people about patriarchy, Africa, patriarchy. You know, male dominance. It's not male dominance. You know, we had this heated debates in class. It's not male dominance. It's our Ubuntu. It's what holds us together. And in fact, if we clearly look at the family structure, the women are the breadwinners. They take care of the home. They take care of everything. They only give reports. They take care of everything. You talk to the husband, I will say, okay, I'll talk to you later. He consults the wife. And what the wife says is what he will transfer as his own word. Because the wife is close-knit with other women within the community. They know what is happening in the community more than men do. So they interact, they care for the kids, they work on the farms, they do businesses, and they know where the burden lies. And so when it's becoming tough, they are consulted. Education becomes useful when you're able to use the knowledge, the skills, and the experience to bring about change in your community. So that makes your education useful. But if you say you're educated and you cannot bring change, you cannot put smiles on people's faces, then that is you've not been able to achieve the essence of education. Ubuntu teaches you to use the knowledge, to use the skills, to use the stories, to use the experiences to bring about change in your community and in your country. Their knowledge becomes extra potent. Yeah. So when they write, you feel it, you see it. When they talk, you feel it, you see it. Because they are using that old wisdom, that old knowledge, those old stories, those proverbs, those idioms, those stories, those life experiences from the rural areas and coming up to the so-called modern times, and bringing together, then you decipher this and try to go into action. You give good results, yeah? That can be compared to people that have shied away from the Ubuntu concept of education, that holistic approach, that communityship. They are not. Okay, from my experience, all the regional bodies in Africa should be summoned. We should convene a meeting starting from SADC to ECOWAS to AES and to other regions, regionally. Associations of social workers should, the sub-regional organizations of the IFS of Africa region. Then we can do presentations and we can request for an Ubuntu desk. It's at the AU regional office. We can request for an Ubuntu desk. So the Ubuntu desk officers there can go through every document, every proposal coming from the UN or coming from the EU or coming from any other organization wanting to work in Africa. Those tenets, those concepts of Ubuntu should be included in some of the activities that they want to work. We should begin to regulate international organizations coming to work in Africa. We should develop our own code of ethics. Our own code of ethics for organizations wanting to come to work in Africa. Yeah? That should be developed. In times of war, in times of disaster, in times of governance, in times of gender, in terms of various intervention areas. So we should have code of ethics developed. And they should have to follow. Yeah? And they have to co-create and co-build. Whatever they are planning should be done with the communities. They have to go to the communities, talk to the community people, ask them the questions, and ask them for their own contributions, their feedbacks, what they think work well for them, and clarify, confirm these informations from educated people grounded in Ubuntu that are from these communities, and confirm that then they can design projects and they can go into action, empowering the communities, using the community. Yes, it can coexist. There are certain concepts of individualism that works. There are some that doesn't fit. There are certain things that doesn't work. We tell them this doesn't sit in our country context. Respect. One value that holds Ubuntu together is respect for everybody. And above all, respect for the elders. Respect for the elders. Then also you have to value what makes you you. We have to value things. Value things that nurture you. Value nature. It's from nature that you are groomed to be human, to be living. So you have to respect everybody around you. You have to respect nature. You have to respect leadership. You have to respect women. You have to respect children. You have to listen to their voices. You have to take care of whatever is entrusted in your care. You should not step on other person's toe. That principle of respect, that principle of a sign of remorse, that principle of apology, that principle of being helpful, that principle of being a free giver, that principle of selfless service, that principle of looking at a situation, they say, no, it should not be like this. Then you step in and try to correct it logically. And that principle of preserving nature, of preserving the community, that principle of talking to strangers, of being supportive to strangers, of stepping into other people's shoes, that principle of helping the blind, that principle of providing for those that cannot afford it at that point in time, that principle of supporting each other, like holistically, so these are the things that make us us. An okra tree will never be taller than the farmer that planted it.
Okay.
So the farmer is like the old person in the community. Yeah? And the okra tree is flexible. Like it can grow tall. At times you have to bend it and bring it to where you want it. Yeah? So however tough a situation is in the community, that wisdom basket, that old person can bring that situation under control.